weather. It's good to see some of you out here tonight. We're thinking about canceling this meeting tonight, but the board members insisted.
Oh. Let's get this right. Won't be gone here.
So tonight's meeting is our regularly scheduled action meeting. We will also be presenting, I will not be presenting proclamation tonight. They were going to be, but they've been deferred. The meeting is being videotaped for community cable channels. Individuals attending this meeting and intending to speak to the board should be aware that they are being videotaped. In order to meet the requirements of the Pennsylvania Sunshine Law, it is necessary to record the names of all citizens who speak to the board during the meeting. To assure compliance with this requirement, it is essential that those planning to address the board come to the microphone, state their name and address, and sign the audience and citizens logbook. Members of the audience are asked to limit their questions and comments to no more than a few minutes. This limit will permit time for all those who wish to speak to the board. Whenever members of the audience exceed the appropriate time limit, the board president may ask the individual to yield the microphone to the next speaker. I'd like to start with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'd like to have a motion to recommend approval of the minutes of the 794th meeting held on 12/16/99 as circulated.
Second.
Motion by Terry Pekowski, second by Bruce Gordon. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So moved. I recommend approval of the minutes of the work session held on 1/11/00/2000 as circulated.
So moved. Second.
Mr. Allen, Mr. O'Donnell. Any questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So moved. There are no proclamations tonight. Because of the weather, we didn't want to bring everybody out, so they'll be deferred to the next opportunity. Committee reports tonight. Mr. Schilling isn't here. Does anybody have anything to add? Anybody on that? They've had no committee meetings, so there's probably nothing to report in that area. Terry, do you have anything to report? When's your next meeting?
Our next meeting is January 25th, Tuesday night, 7 p.m. here. We're there, at this building.
In this building, okay.
We'll be having a technology discussion and an ESL update. Some in-service needs, I think.
Okay. Finance, Mr. O'Donnell?
Yes, our meeting will be on Monday, January 24th at 7 p.m. Some of the items that we're going to probably go over, more than likely I have a draft here in front of me of what our agenda is going to be. Investment schedule update, a bond fund update. I'd like to know where we are on all the revenue, the balance remaining on the bonds, what's being charged for those accounts. The year 2000 actual revenue projection for the budget. We have January's information in. So we have got a real good number, including I think Merck's online. We have, and maybe Jim at the end of this should talk about that zoning person, or whoever that person we talked about on revenue. We're talking about some delinquent taxes. We're going to talk about, which everybody probably knows, the employer retirement rate went down. And we're going to talk about the timeline for completing the budget and potential budget reserve transfers. And that, again, that meeting will be on Monday night at 7 o'clock, this coming Monday night at 7 o'clock. That's all.
Great, thank you.
Question?
Yes.
What did you say went down, Frank? The employee retirement contribution?
Yeah, it was in the newspaper, and I think we got it your school board notice, Friday.
Yeah, I didn't understand what you said, that's all.
At PSER, the point rate went down, went from 4.61 down to 1.94, which is a significant savings, about $900,000. So that's pretty nice. That's going to help us.
Any other questions? There's nothing to report on personnel. There was no meetings. Community relations, Mr. Shapinsky isn't here, and yes.
Question on personnel, how are we doing with our human resource director search?
I'll let Bob play in on that.
I just received communication from Frank Bartle, who's doing the screening, and I think there were over 15 applications, and What he's doing is screening, I think, 5 people. And then he'll make a report to the board.
And how are we doing on our base director?
That'll be covered later in the agenda.
Don, I had a question on, or a comment for support services to follow up on, if you could. John, I've heard in the past month or so, an issue raised about the new buses that we took on under the new lease for this year. A concern over the last step on that bus and the visibility of that step. I've heard that we had an employee who went out on disability from having fallen, but also that the comments were made that it's been said by several others that one particular bus model, and they couldn't give me the bus number or anything to give me more details, but of the new buses, there's one that the shape and the sight lines for those bottom steps sort of gets lost into the pavement and is getting missed considerably by now.
I'll check into it. I'm aware of the driver that fell.
Okay.
I'm not aware of any other.
Do you know, so you would know what particular type bus that occurred on in that situation? So see if you follow up and see if there's other situations similar to that, where they're tripping or whatever. Maybe something that can be amended by simply some coloration along the edges that breaks it up from the black on black or whatever, but from what I'm hearing, it's that particular new bus model that is causing the problem.
We'll check it tomorrow.
John, would you report on that at the committee meeting or get the information to the committee at least for the support services, have the committee meeting?
The community relations meeting is on January 25th ahead of the educational services, 6 p.m. So kind of goes follow the meeting date.
Is there anything to report on Monco? Either Mr. Ward or Mr. Shute?
I'd like to thank Dr. Irwin for my orientation tour I took last Friday. It was very, very informative to see what our students are doing over there. We certainly send an awful lot to North Monco Technical Career Center. And boy, the things that they do these days, a lot of us are amazed at what the education is of our students now and what they're getting into over there and the opportunities provided to them are just wonderful. And our joint operating committee is also, or the joint operating committee also held a strategy session for getting into negotiations last 2 weeks ago.
That's the beginning of it. Also, I'd like to note that the money that was originally gotten through a grant was used as seed money for an educational project in which the students built a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, double-wide modular home. They put excellent materials into it, and the intent is to put that up for sale, rejuvenate the seed money, and again, fund another educational project. So all done by students, certainly well supervised, it's been inspected and coded, and has been put up to full standard tests. And if anyone in the community is interested, I know Dr. Irwin would like to see some interest shown in just seeing what our students are doing out there. I mean, we're talking full living quarters and double-wide home that someone would go out and purchase for about $50,000, $55,000, $60,000. And it will be probably going out onto the market in one form or another, whether a bid process, auction process, or advertisement for sale, and there'll be an open house a little later. But certainly I think the media should show a little attention and take a good look at just how much further they've gone from building little sheds and things like that to where they've actually built a full home.
I know they've done that. I know there's also groups of them that go work on homes in Philadelphia and other places.
Yeah,
Under the, is that called?
Habitat for Humanity.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, a lot of good work is being done over Monco, and that's good. At this time, we'll have audience of citizens. Would anybody like to address the board? Yes. Please write your name on that thing so we can get your name spelled right too. There you go, thank you.
You won't be able to read my writing anyway.
That's all right. Between you telling us what it is and writing there, we'll put them together.
I'm Bill Clinton. Jerry Micheletti, Hatfield Township.
was just wondering if the people over at Montco would like another project. I'm planning on building an addition on my home.
Yeah.
Good.
I want to talk about a couple things. One, very briefly, I'll call it the BASE program. My son isn't in the BASE anymore, but it was a great program. And I certainly expect that the district will do a fine job. I just want to be sure that we're all happy with it. We can do it, get it together in time. Because, you know, it is the kids who are going. We don't want the kids to suffer. And so, you know, just hope that by not renewing the contract, that we will be ready to fulfill the children's needs in the fall.
You can rest assured we'll be ready.
Thank you. And the other I just wanted to talk about is Oak Park. I'm sure that some of you, if not all of you, are aware of the problems over at Oak Park with the gymnasium, among other things. And I know that, I believe anyways, that this summer we're planning on some renovations, some things over there. And I know that people have been in and out and looking it up and down and what have you, inside and out. And I hope that, you know, a lot of attention can be paid not only to Oak Park, but to the other older schools as well. Because, you know, there obviously at Oak Park, there are things that have gone unnoticed. Maybe nobody's fault, maybe somebody just, you know, shoved them under the table or whatever, but they're saying that Oak Park is not a hazard to the children right now, but when I was looking at it, I think it could be. So I just, you know, want us to make sure that we're looking closely at all of these things to make sure that they can get taken care of. Okay, thank you very much.
Mr. Stroll, what? So everybody knows what's going on in Oak Park, or what's the plan?
We have a structural engineer looking at the problem now, and
What's
he's
the
giving us
problem?
some recommendations.
So everybody understands.
The front gym wall is towing out at the top, and something's causing that underground, we believe, but we haven't determined what that is yet. When it was first noticed last year, Mr. Wu was involved with Mr. Adams, the structural engineer, in this underpinning of the wall, and we didn't see any movement again until around Floyd this year. We saw some more movement, so Mr. Adams is looking again to see if we can determine what it is that's causing the problem. And we know that some of the original construction features of Oak Park are not making the problem any better. There's not as good joining of the roof to the walls as there could have been or there would be today if the building's being built today. So when we do renovations, as we plan in our 5-year capital plan to do, we hope to take care of some of this movement.
You'll be bringing all that through the support services.
Yes, I have a report from Monday's meeting.
John, can I ask you, do we have any safety inspection reports that have been done as part of this review of the damages?
At Oak Park?
Yeah.
No, but the structural engineer has given his opinion that it is safe at this point.
And we have that, do we have that in some sort of written
We have that,
form?
yes.
Probably that would be best if we shared.
Can I say something again?
Sure.
I understand the structural engineer has said that it is safe, and it may very well be if it's not moving, but if you look at it, you can see that the blocks are crumbling and the ceiling tiles are hanging on the edge. They may look fine sitting there, and the engineer may say they are fine, but, you know, these are the kinds of things that we don't want to just go, okay, that is fine, let's not worry about it, and then, you know, somebody bounce a ball off of that or something and then have a chunk of block fall down on someone else's
And you can
head.
be sure we're looking at it, and Mr. Strobel is going to get a report through the committee what's going on in that area.
Correct, okay, thank you.
Anyone else? Okay, we can proceed with the superintendent's report.
Superintendent's report, 5A, recommend approval of a waiver of tuition status for students whose names are on file in the Office of Special Education and Student Services in accordance with Board Policy Number 5118.
Second.
Mr. Gordon, Mr. Allen, any questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So moved.
B, recommend approval to enter into a 36-month lease for a vehicle in accordance with Section 3C of the Superintendent's Employment Contract.
Mr. O'Connell, Mrs. Borowski?
No, I said, I don't know. I didn't say.
Oh, I got you down as
That's fine.
Any questions?
Just one. Given the fact that the lease is longer than the remaining term and the future term of the superintendent is not yet determined, no offense, Bob. No signs, signals being thrown there, but I'm just saying that we had the situation where Bob had to pick up with the remainder of a lease from a previous superintendent. Was there consideration of trying to bring the leases more in sync? I know that means suddenly having to take a short-term lease, which can be a little bit more costly, but then at least then, from there on, you could be doing leases that are more.
The answer to that, as far as I know, no, because we know Dr. Haskell's going to be here for 40 years.
Sign that document already, guys. Okay.
But that's a good point to consider. Any other? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, so moved.
Recommend acceptance of the following gifts to the district, a bridal path, a refrigerator, and also a printer and a Pendale computer equipment.
Mr. Paprocki and Mr. O'Donnell. Any questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
So ordered.
And thank you to each of those individuals who donated that equipment. 5D, recommend award of the following bids. Bus sales opened on 1/12/2000, item number 8-00.
Second.
Mr. Gordon, Mrs. Shear, any questions?
Yes, does this mean the buses are gone from Penville?
It will be sure.
Any other questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, so ordered.
And athletic equipment and supplies opened on January 11th, 2000.
So moved.
Mr. Allen?
Second.
Mr. Gordon, any questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
A little more enthusiasm. Opposed, so moved.
Under personnel, recommend approval of the addition of one learning support teacher at Gwinnett Square.
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Paprocki, Mr. Gordon. Any questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, so moved.
2, recommend approval to hire a one-to-one assistant at Hatfield for a special education student whose name is on file in the Office of Student Services.
So moved.
Mr. O'Donnell. Mr. Paprocki. Any questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
So ordered.
3, recommend approval to increase by 1/2 hour per day the time required for the assistant at Nash to meet the needs of a special education student whose name is on file in the Office of Student Services.
So moved. Second.
Mr. O'Donnell, Mr. Paprocki, any questions?
We're actually moving and increasing the time of a particular individual, which would involve an increase in salary and et cetera. Shouldn't they be listed similar to all the rest of the personnel would have to be? Moved from assistant whatever, assistant aide at this salary to this salary. I mean, by law, we have to have a salary list.
I think the first thing we did was approve the position. That's what this is doing.
Oh, you're not picking the person yet?
That'll come later under the nominations.
We could have done that together? Okay. All right. I didn't think it was related to any longer. I just think this was why this was here.
Any other questions? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, so ordered.
Nay.
One no vote.
Number 4, recommend approval of the following personnel items. A, nominations.
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Allen, Mr. Gordon, any questions? You have a question? You okay? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? One no vote. So ordered.
B, retirements.
So moved.
Mr. Allen, Mr. Gordon, any questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So ordered.
C, resignations.
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Allen, Mr. Gordon.
I have a comment.
Yes.
I'd like to bring your attention to the resignation of support staff member Karen Dudick. I know that the administration has been talked to a number of times by various board members who had received calls from parents and other teachers that this was a very, very fine support staff instructor. And why we couldn't see fit to make sure that somebody this good got a permanent position in this district is beyond me. So when Karen Dudick leaves this district because another school district picked her up, it's our loss. And I know enough board members requested that she be given a second look.
Any other comments? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So ordered.
D, position change.
Mr. Gordon, Mr. Allen, any questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So ordered.
E, salary changes.
Second.
Mr. Gordon, Mr. Allen, any questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So ordered.
F, change of status.
So moved.
Mr. Allen, Mr. Gordon, any questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So ordered.
G, contract extensions.
Second.
Mr. Gordon, Mr. Allen. Any questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So ordered.
H, leave of absence.
Mr. Gordon,
Second.
Mr. Allen, any questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So ordered.
I, leave of absence extensions.
Second.
Mr. Gordon, Mr. Allen, any questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So ordered.
And change of effective date for leave of absence.
Second.
Mr. Gordon, Mr. Allen, any questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So ordered.
Continuing under personnel, number 5, recommend approval of additions to the professional and support staff substitute list for the 99-2000 school year.
Second.
Krowski, Mr. O'Donnell, any questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So ordered.
6, recommend approval of additions and changes to the extra duty assignments for the 1990-2000 school year.
Is there a motion? Mr. Allen?
Second.
Mr. Gordon, any questions?
One question.
Yes.
I don't quite understand under change why we changed from somebody to nobody. An example, Pembroke, from Rich Moore to somebody to be named, same with Mary Jane Lewandowski. And I think those two are there. I don't quite understand why that has to be. My other question is, under high school, you got Dick back, two extra duty assignments for weightlifting for winter and spring. Is that just football? Or is that all interested weightlifting parties?
Well, that's supposed to be a new club, or potential new club. New sport.
I believe so.
They're mural or something like that?
Yeah, I believe so.
They come through,
Well,
it wouldn't be,
No.
yeah, it wouldn't be a new one that hasn't been approved.
did it come out through education services?
No. Not for me.
Did you get it?
Now came forward, or in the.
I don't believe it's not a new one that hasn't been approved. If it's an appointment, and Don's not here, but if it's an appointment, it's the one that had been approved. I believe it's just a continuation of the weight program that's in existence for any athletes.
The last time I heard this comment, it was being changed to an intramural sport. Possible change in that type of change, or that type of area.
I thought it was going to powerlift.
Well, there's competition against other schools, I know that.
I know the football team competes against Lansdale Catholic.
No, this was,
I
other
think
competition.
As far as I know, this would be one of our existing activities that are already on the books.
The weight
There-
training's under annual activities.
Right.
Right.
Is that also for females? I guess I need to question, is it just for the football team? If not, it's open to everybody, it's also open to females.
I believe everybody.
Those questions that we're raising here now ought to be referred, just for clarification, back to the Educational Services Committee, check them.
I just wanted a little bit of clarification. I mean, I'm a raw weightlifter, so, you know, I'm all for it. I just want a little clarification. I just want to make sure the girls aren't getting screwed from it, and that it's not just the football team.
Can you also find out if any of this is retroactive?
I'm going to ask the committee to look into that.
Well, we're about to approve it. Do we need to know if it's retroactive now?
Any of the positions, or you? When you say retroactive, you mean for a position?
Are any of these changes going to go back to the beginning of 1999? The motion reads 1999 to 2000, which means the whole school year. I'm just asking if any of it's going back and they're making changes to something they've been doing now for 5 months or so.
Yeah, the old rate of pay, now they're getting a new rate of pay.
It looked like they were there and.
Under this motion, even if it's not meant to be retroactive, under this motion, it could be.
If you give somebody retroactive pay.
As retroactive.
Then we should change the motion and say effective this date forward.
He's been there since, he was there all summer and into this one.
Unless that
I
was
have-
intent of to bring that forward as that.
Only thing I would say, the co-curricular is under the contract, the teacher's contract outlines what they're going to be. And quite honestly, if someone served in this and it's retroactive, I don't think legally we have anything to do with that. Because co-curricular, some districts have it outside the contract,
don't
we have it
believe-
Well, we
inside.
can make it effective now.
Why don't we modify the motion to make it now? And then,
We have to submit the covers or
Yeah, if there's any problems, we can address that. Otherwise,
let's make
this
it
should be
effective.
brought.
Who approved the motion?
Alan and Gordon.
Mr. Allen, would you like, can we amend the motion to say effective as of this date?
I don't think we should do that because Dr. Cotter may say he forgot to submit it a month ago, and they may have been left off for clerical error, which has happened before. So I'm not so sure we should do that. I think we should maybe just table the motion and get it right instead of doing it wrong tonight. If it is something that should be retroactive due to some kind of an error, it will be made up next time we vote on it anyway.
The only one we're talking about is the weight training here, the whole motion?
Why don't we just pull it?
Is that again?
Why don't we just pull it?
Do I have a motion to?
Well, a lot of these people have started doing these things. I see a wrestling coach.
Who knows the answer to this question?
I mean, I know that they have started wrestling. I'm sure
I
this-
would believe they're retroactive unless wrestling started, let's say, last week, and we needed somebody to fill a position.
Wrestling started a couple months ago.
Well, depending on the level.
Now, the rest, there are a lot of them are
Well,
spring
there's some,
sports,
there are some,
softball,
a lot of them are
and
spring, but a lot,
sports.
some are winter sports.
Now, I don't know if Mr. Mellon, who could go on a state, maybe just come in and board and all that. I don't have to tell me for them to.
What's the board's pleasure? Do you want to table this, or do you want to?
We want to say November 1st? That covers?
I think we should do it.
Well, when
effective
nobody has
January
answers, maybe things should be tabled.
I would agree.
You know, straight answer would be nice.
Mr. President, if you don't have an answer, I would table it.
I don't mind table, but
All right.
we make a motion.
We need a motion
Or I'll just
table.
withdraw, how about if I just withdraw the motion?
Do that as well. The second for
Or
Rose.
second.
Yeah,
All right.
Okay.
yeah.
Let's withdraw the motion then.
Motion's been withdrawn, and the second's been withdrawn, so that's essentially been tabled. Moving ahead.
Okay, 7, recommend approval of additions to the homebound teacher list for the 99-2000 school year.
Second.
Mr. Shapinsky, Mr. Gordon, any questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So moved. So ordered.
F, recommend approval of student travel.
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Allen, Mr. Shapinsky, any questions?
Thank you for making the information a little more detailed so you can see what class levels are going.
Any other comments? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So ordered.
Under informational items, the vandalism report for this month is listed. Number 6, other business, recommend approval of a waiver of real estate taxes on parcel number 3500-10927-00-9 in Hatfield Township, which was purchased by the Colmore Volunteer Fire Company, a tax-exempt entity, and refund the taxes paid at settlement totaling $482.17 for the period 9/17/99 through 6/30/2000.
So moved.
Second. Mr. O'Donnell and Mr. Shapinsky, any questions?
Yes, comment.
Yes.
Request in the future that we get a green sheet that's dated January, not October 4th, 1999. And Mr. Mosey is no longer on the board, so he's not the board liaison. So this should have been updated. It's a minor thing, but just want to go on the record, should be changed.
Okay. Any other comments? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, so ordered.
B, recommend approval for North Penn School District to provide notice to the Enrichment Workshop for Children Incorporated that the current contract to provide a before and after school program using school district facilities shall not be renewed pursuant to section 4D5 of the current agreement. Written notice to be sent before February 1, 2000.
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Shapinsky, second Mr. O'Donnell. Any questions?
It's one that I brought up before, John, I believe because of the language within that contract,
We're going to cover that.
being so odd, I'd like to see it stated in there, the written notice be reviewed by the solicitor and sent before February.
The written notice
2000.
was written by the solicitor.
Well, I just wanted to be sure it was reviewed by our solicitor because I know that that one was very odd language in there. You have to jump through hoops.
Any other questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, so ordered. Now, I'd like-
Nay.
Nay.
Oh, excuse me.
I'm sorry, nay,
we have, give a roll call on that one.
please.
Allen,
No.
Gordon,
Yes.
Mengel,
No.
O'Donnell,
Yes.
Prokowski,
Yes.
Scher,
Yes.
Schilling, Sherpinski,
Yes.
Hill.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Now I'd like the solicitor to read a statement here that ties in with this so we can be legally in accordance with the contract.
Our office will notify the Enrichment Workshop for Children, Inc. of the board's determination to invite additional proposals for review and/or possible award pursuant to section 4D5 of the agreement dated February 11, 1997. This effectively terminates the contract. We hereby notify those who may be interested that we invite proposals for before and after school care for review and/or possible award. Any such proposal should be forwarded to the North Penn School District. Attention Dr. Robert Hassler, Superintendent, on or before February 1, 2000. The administration is preparing a report and a proposal for the board to review regarding the district providing the before and after school program. The board will review the alternatives at the February 8, 2000 meeting of the board and possibly take action. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you.
Question?
Yes.
It sounds like we're putting this out for bid, but realistically, we're not.
It's a request proposal.
Are we,
Waive the long.
By let me,
are we setting a set of standards or criteria or features that we want in this?
RFQ.
There is an RFP on file in Christine's office, so anyone who's interested in preparing a proposal could get that RFP. I have a copy of
Is
it.
this an old one?
I believe it was dated either 1994 or 1997.
Well, what's it gonna take for an outside supplier of this program to beat out the school district?
I think,
A lot.
A miracle.
And why waste anybody's time?
Yeah, why are we doing
Why
this?
are we doing it?
Who are we
Thank you.
kidding?
Oh, my God, thank you.
Well, quite frankly, the language that was placed in when Mr. Weir and previous, previous administrators worked and developed a contract without the advisement of a solicitor, we ended up with language like this in a contract.
we're forced to proceed in this way contraction.
As in the contract itself.
So it's just a funny face. So it's a funny face on a,
Right.
on a mannequin,
That's a legal way of doing it.
Or it complies with the terms of the contract and the requirements that the school district must do in order to terminate the contract.
Well, I understand legality, and I also know you can't legislate morality.
Now, Mr. Helm, it was my understanding though that we would help facilitate this whole process by allowing some of the process to occur at the policy committee level. Otherwise, there's going to be an awful lot that's going to be covered very cold on February 9th if we're not able to at least cover some of this through the policy committee.
Well, there is going to be a committee meeting
Right.
of the policy and this, and
25th,
that's going to be
would we
brought
be-
forward at that meeting.
But we wouldn't be able to begin that discussion by the 25th.
Sure you can. You can begin
We'll be
discussion
ready.
anytime.
whatever will be
Will you
prepared.
discuss it?
Well, what will you plan
The
for us to have
administrative
the
plan.
discussion on February 9th as the first stage?
But you can discuss it at the committee meeting, not taking any action, you can discuss it.
Absolutely.
You know, Bill asked a very good question. What is it going to take to beat the school district? And Vicki, you laughed and said a whole lot.
I said,
And you're
"Oh,
right.
wow."
You're absolutely right. You know what? It isn't funny. And it isn't funny to go making jackasses out of people who apply thinking there's an opportunity for a real livelihood here, or an opportunity to win to secure a job or a position with the North Penn School District. And I just don't like it. I think it smells, it stinks. I don't care if it's legal. And you just don't make jackasses out of people for jobs.
No,
And I don't want to be a part of it.
I think
It's not even a matter of that. I don't feel we should be in the daycare business, but you don't make jackasses out of people for jobs.
I don't disagree. I just think that we've been advised that there's no other way, unless we go to court to fight for, termination and the abuse of the language that's in the contract itself. But our solicitor could answer that, what would be our alternative? We would have to hold to the courts if this was ludicrous language, that we'd be locked in for permanent services.
Well, the terms of,
Otherwise.
under the terms of the contract, unfortunately, I do not have the contract in front of me at the moment, but I think that the terms of the contract specify that you may notify the enrichment workshop for children that you intend not to renew the contract and that you are entertaining proposals for someone else to continue the program. And that's the purpose of this language, is to fulfill the terms of that contract and to allow for termination of the contract.
Yes.
To seek proposals, and there's nothing in that language, though, that eliminates us from being one of those proposals
That's
and
correct.
fulfilling that language by seeking a proposal from the school district for an in-house program.
That's correct.
Moving along. Finance report, treasurer's report.
Item 7A is the informational item, the treasurer's report, which details $60,123,535.28 as investments as of December 31st, 1999. Item 7B, sanction and approval of invoices, which I would like to suggest that we include the food service department in the total of invoices to be approved. And the food service report has check disbursements of $422,501.81. Therefore, we have a revised grand total, including the food service operations, of expenditures of $13,928,469.12.
Question?
Any motion?
Go ahead,
Is that your motion?
no.
Who's making the
So
motion?
moved.
Mr. Gordon, second.
Second.
Mr. O'Donnell, any questions?
Yes, lots. Comments. In the future, I'd like to see a better internal control on our check numbers, that we are consistent, we don't take blocks of checks out, because halfway down the report, we're missing 1,581 checks. As long as we account for them, they're okay, but we shouldn't be, a block here, and a block here, and a block here. I see further on down, if I could just have like brief explanation, where I understand it was important where we paid Sean Lee $426 for a telephone call, where I understand there was some type of emergency back to technology, and she was in New Jersey at a seminar. $426 phone call, cell phone call. Man, I got a problem. Later on, I'd like an explanation at our finance meeting what that was.
Has that been paid tonight?
Yep. Well, I understand it was a legitimate expense, but like, what was the emergency? We'll find out later. Like, what's the emergency? Couldn't somebody hang up and go to a phone? $426. The North Penn activity list prompted me to request my list of 1099s, if I could have that. I've asked for that for 3 years in a row, my third year in a row. And I see some names here that look like they're not corporations or whatever, so I'd like to make sure that we give these people 1099s in the past, and if not, we file with the IRS to make sure that these people work, prior years. They are given 1099s. I see some individual names here, and they are not on my list from years past. Bear with me. You told me about, we also want some tax Pembroke, and a few others, maybe what, what were the real estate?
There's been some activity in the tax base regarding assessment appeals as
That's
well
right,
as
that's right,
payments
assessment
made under
appeals.
protest.
Right. I see that, the tail end here is Eswitz, we paid them $4,900, you've given me the detail, I appreciate that. So my question is, it always seems to be directed at one vendor, never people right in the local community. I have a concern with that. Why is it always not heard that that's the way it always has been? And I have a problem with that. And I understand lip service, I keep on getting next year. Well, I'd like to see something done, spread it around a little bit. Also, if I could request for the finance meeting, if we could have a list of overtime, appreciated. So we can compare that to the budget to see just where we are. Pardon? No, just in general right now. That's all, thank you.
Most of those questions should be followed up to the committee.
Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, you're, okay, you're coming up to the budget transfer, I have a comment on that one too. But basically, yeah, if you can follow up, because I want everybody to hear what some of my concerns are, and you can follow up with the finance meeting. Thank you.
Yes, Mr. Jordan.
Mr. O'Donnell's questioning of the availability of 1099s. Is paperwork like that generally part of our audit, that the auditors will look and make sure we gave out 1099s where appropriate?
I would suggest that would be part of the art program, yeah.
Do you know if it was, or?
I wouldn't want to speak for the outside firm that performs that services, but the student activity or the student athletic fund are part of the trust and agency funds in the audit financial statements, so that is part of the work efforts. And I would think there's a compliance issue there that is looked at each year.
Yeah, I just would hate to see us digging through to make sure 1099s have been issued if it should have been part of the audit, and we don't have the administrators chasing their tails for tracking down paperwork that was checked and cleared.
First, what I found out is, by asking year after year after year, I see a person this year, and following years are missing, well, where is it? Oh, yeah, you're right. Well, we have to have a set rule, and they're not an employee cannot get a 1099. It's very clear. And if they're a corporation or an organization, they must provide insurance. And I want to make sure that we follow those rules also. And I'm hearing somebody saying, oh, here, I want to make sure that some employee doesn't submit an invoice, and we just go ahead and pay it for some work done. But wait a minute, are you an employee? Are you an organization? If so, did you provide insurance?
Do our auditors not get into that level of detail?
I'd have to.
I don't think so.
You don't think so?
Probably not.
They got below the threshold.
Excuse me?
They got below the threshold.
But what I've learned is if I don't answer the question,
Oh, absolutely.
nobody raised it, it goes away, and somebody's made a full $4,000 or $5,000 I see here. All I'm asking is if we could review it.
My point was, if auditors had already done this review, then we shouldn't have to ask the question.
I agree.
And that's what I'm just trying to figure out, and Mr. Shapinsky's telling me that there's a certain level that they wouldn't, detail they wouldn't drop into, so, valid question. Okay.
Any other questions?
Yes.
Yes,
Frank, I didn't understand what you said about local people.
I've noticed, I looked at the bill, I've taken a real close look at a lot of this Despots. Ever since I returned my daughter's violin last year, I had 3 dunning notices, 2 dunning notices and 3 nasty phone calls from the people. It raised my awareness, I wasn't aware of it before. So, but it just seems now, instead of dealing with any music company in Lansdale, which there are several, we go up downtown. Why is that? You know, I'm just asking the question. It just seems
for the
strange.
music thing you're asking.
Pardon me?
Just for the music instruments you're asking.
Yeah.
There's
It's
been
just like,
two
why is that?
companies- There's been 2 companies that have been used in this district for special arrangements for students for, I bet I've seen them for about 15 years, and those have been the only 2 that have been highlighted or promoted for that payment arrangement. And I think it's a legitimate issue to say, how is it that it's been chosen that these are the 2?
Well, the other thing is too, and I'll cut this short real fast, is that the kids get a notice here in the very beginning of the year, and we addressed this earlier, but the kids get a notice here, you can deal with this company,
Right.
for an incident. So I go down to local, down here 202 and 63 and get it for $95 cheaper. Like, what would half? I think there's something wrong with this picture.
Well, you did bring that up during the last board's.
Right. But that's all I'm saying, I'm asking a real question, I see that's what's again.
This has been gone through, and wasn't the outcome of that, yes, the schools are sending this information home, but you as a consumer and as a parent do have other choices you can make.
That's correct. I haven't seen anything come to my house yet.
But we do promote
No.
those two companies
Right, but
significantly.
that's for next year's musical program.
I think.
But right now,
educational
we're still
services-
buying things to death with.
Right, but I'm saying, right, we're still buying things through Zestwood, but as the public should know, they always have the opportunity to go out and be their own consumer advocate and get the best
But
deal.
this is the
Like
school
you were
district
saying,
spending $5,000. I want to know why we're still going to the same place.
it's part of the
The
program that
parents
we've
should
already
go get
set
the
up
best
for the
deal?
year.
But we're also purchasing district.
And we should be too, sure. And this is why we're in this.
Not the parents, I mean.
These are all things for the committee. Is there any other questions related to the
Where would
motion?
that go, educational services, I mean, you're dealing with the music.
Well, for right now, let's keep it finance, because that's where it started. Let's see where it goes from there.
No, actually, it was educational services. Frank brought it up as educational services.
All right.
Sorry, guys.
Educational services.
I got one other question, Frank, what were you saying about that cell phone bill? How much was that?
I believe it was $426 and $426.85.
$426.85. This is on a cell phone, and we've got somebody in administration trying to tell us that that was an emergency phone call on a cell phone.
This is
And
the
they
info
put
I
it
was
into a
given this
real
afternoon.
phone? Were they out in the middle of the ocean?
Well, I understand she was at a seminar, but what's kind of strange is that she was the only one, so the whole world stopped until we got a hold of her. And that's what bothered me. Like, I talked to her, and I talked to people down there to make sure we're cross-trained, just like we are in accounting. That wasn't the case. The whole world did stop, and we spent $426.
Or what did it take for her to get off her car phone and get onto a phone that would cost the district so much money?
I don't know. My concern, it just bothered me, 420, like, why not get on? I heard she was at a seminar. That's why hopefully we'll get.
Dr. Hauser, I'd appreciate if you talk to this employee that we're not cash cows.
Sure.
And we don't give out cell phones, so obviously someone's putting on themselves to use their own.
Yes, ma'am.
If I could respond to that, then I'll have more detail for the finance committee, but that was a situation where the individual was away at a seminar, and she was performing work for the business office directly, and that was dial-in charges into the system or into Panimation from the facility where she was attending the seminar. And to be honest with you, the person who initiated that transaction was Jim Sowers, and I needed some work performed that began about 7:30 in the morning on one day, and then some subsequent work, and we were performing some of the transaction detail with the paid leave task force, among other topics, for those 2 days.
How did this, I was told today that she was on a cell phone and due to an emergency.
Well, again, I will give you the source documents, but as I recall, I paged the individual, and she was dialing in from that facility into our animation system here at the Educational Services.
Well, let's get
So you paged her, she could have gone to a real phone somewhere in that seminar.
And I'll get you the
Let's get the details.
You're saying you believe she did. There was a cell phone call, but then from there she was calling from wherever she was staying, and then
There was
actually dialing into programs through
And there was
Panimation, not
correct.
actually in phone conversations, but
The
programs.
phone traffic was computer.
Sort of like internet time, similar to internet
But
time.
I'll give Mr. O'Donnell the chapter and verse.
Any other questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So ordered.
Item 7C, budget transfers, recommend approval of budget transfers in the amount of $5,685.50 for the 1999-2000 fiscal year.
And if I did motion, Mr. President, what I'd like to do is table this until we discuss the finance meeting. I have no clue what the transfers are. They need to be discussed at every finance meeting before. I don't know what the detail is, I looked at it, but I think this should be discussed at finance then forward for approval. And we can certainly wait on this. On the question if you're ready to throw.
I have no problem with that, as long as it affect the district, can we hold up all that, these transfers? All right, since there's been no motion, will be tabled.
Thank you.
Item 7D, the food service report, year-to-date, which displays a net operating loss of approximately $220,000. The total lunches served year-to-date, December 1999, are 556,943. Total servings in the breakfast program, 59,962. One other point to bring up is that the food service department does have approximately $1.2 million in retained earnings as of June 30th, 1999, and we did incur significant additional expense in the payroll area from a price change regarding our ability to attract and retain personnel. So that's causing the obvious increase in payroll expenses from year to year.
I see the payroll there, but good God, the benefits?
The
100,000 to 178,000?
I think we spoke to that earlier, that the fringe benefits are more timely this year than in the past as far as the charges from the business office to the food service area.
There's some other economics now too, because the trouble with food service attracting employees, they're doubling up as bus drivers and other things, and therefore they cross that threshold in the benefits too. And that's the only way they've been able to maintain employees in both departments.
We're gonna eat this $1 million reserve real
But we
fast.
don't know what.
Well, and in certain categories, there was a $1 per hour price increase on a $7.50 base, so that's about a 14% price change that we had to initiate to retain personnel. But again, I think we would analyze this for next year's budget to see how the retained earnings will absorb these transactions and what the pricing looks like for 2001.
We're gonna look at pricing. When's the last time we changed prices on lunches? 10 years ago?
Only downward years.
I have
It
the
has to be 8 or
last,
9 years.
Because of retained
I have
earnings.
the last 3 fiscal years in front of me, and they have held since June 30th of 1997, or from 7/1 of 96. And when you look at the information in other school systems, particularly the school systems that surround us, most of the secondary lunch prices are in excess of $2, and most of the elementary prices are approximately $1.75. So we're probably 25 to 30 percentage points lower than surrounding districts.
Well, I'd rather keep it down, either way it's $1 million, bring that down to maybe $400,000 or $500,000, then maybe.
It's not $1 million.
At
It's $1 million
1%.
last year.
It is.
Still $1 million.
No, that was as of last June.
But this report rolls up with the current retained earnings, he's saying we got $1 million,
No.
we have $1,025,000. It was $1.2 million.
That's for six-
Right now,
that's
we
for-
have $1,025,000.
For 6 months ending, or
Yeah.
for about 47% of the transaction days.
Yeah,
So you've got to,
right, so I'm saying right now, and we're eating at that, so probably, I wouldn't recommend an increase now, but maybe 2 years down the road, look at it, not now. We should eat away, there's no reason why the school district should have $1 million of the kids' money. We gotta just keep freezing the prices until we eat away. Look at our capital expenditures, we have some items on the plate, of about $350,000, $400,000. And then maybe in year 3 from now,
You know, we have more than that. I mean, we have to look at the employee situation. We have to look at the service, the other side of the.
Yeah, that too. You're right.
I mean, that $1 million could dry up in an hour with their wish list. I mean, you got to remember, we got 17 buildings here we're caring for in food service.
that's correct, not even through this, and I believe that the wish list is 350, 400 pounds.
Well, that's
Over 5
something to
years.
look at.
That's something to look at, and move ahead with the budget. Is there any report on federal, state, or other programs?
Yes, there's a recommendation to accept the Safe Schools Initiative grant in the amount of $64,857.
Need a motion?
So moved.
Second. Kapinski, a second.
Second.
All four of us.
Kirkowski, any questions?
Yeah, just one. Lou, is this close to what we expected, half of what we expected?
It's a little less than half. And no one in the district, in the school, within the state got what they had expected.
Was that over the year mark?
Was that earmarked? Yeah, as we wrote the grant, we had earmarked for specific purchase of items that would help some state schools, and also part of it was for training of staff.
Mr. Shapinsky, if I could add something to that, we got a letter from the people that gave us this money, and they explained to us that because so many school districts applied for the money more than they expected, they weren't able to award as much as they had thought individually to each school.
Any other questions? All those in in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, so ordered. Solicitors report, any more, gonna cause any more problems?
I have no reports.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
What a question.